How's it going, YouTube? Oxy here, and man, talk about some insane news, am I right? So, what am I talking about? Well, man, who would have seen it coming? Microsoft has acquired, or is in the legal process of acquiring, Activision Blizzard / King. Insane. It is the largest acquisition in video game history by far. To put perspective, the Bethesda acquisition they did last year was for $7.5 billion, which was the second largest at the time, biggest being, I believe it was Tencent bought Gameloft, or it was like some mobile, basically, mobile gaming, it was like 8.6 billion. But this, Microsoft is getting Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, almost $70 billion. To put it into perspective, like how insane this is, it's basically, they bought Nintendo, basically. Nintendo's worth 61 right now, 61 billion in the current market. Damn. Like, who would have seen this coming? Like, oh man, it is, seriously, this is like industry changing, to be honest. And we're gonna get into all that. But yeah, I didn't believe it. I mean, there was rumors of another acquisition that was gonna happen recently, which I'll touch on later in the video. But I gotta be honest, this one, like, this is like the biggest ever. Like, there will never be an acquisition like this unless it's one of the big three, like Microsoft bought like Sony or Nintendo, like something like that. There will never be an acquisition this, like, at this level, and we'll explain why. So obviously you might have heard the news, it's everywhere right now, but I wanted to wait, one, to keep in schedule, but also because with every announcement there's always like more news coming, like in the following days. So I wanted to be able to get it all and present it to you. So I guess let's start it. The one thing that I'm kind of annoyed that no one has touched on, just again, how significant this is. Again, so Activision is worth more than Nintendo. I know a lot of you might find that hard to believe, but they were. And believe it or not, Microsoft got them for a deal because, if you were unaware, Activision Blizzard has been going through a lot of sexual harassment allegations and that sort of thing. So their stock obviously took a drop. Microsoft was able to swoop in and get that good price. So, the question on everyone's minds, like, so does every Activision game, Call of Duty, the juggernaut that it is, like World of Warcraft, everything, like, is that all exclusive? What won't, will it be, will it not be? Well, to give you the straight answer, we're not going to know until after June, July 2023, because that is legally when Microsoft will officially own them, if all goes through, which it most likely will. And yeah, it's crazy, like, man. But what I wanted to touch on is, yeah, Activision is worth more than Nintendo. Reason being that not many people know this, but Activision has been in the game longer than Nintendo when it comes to gaming. Nintendo as a company has existed for a lot longer. I believe since like 1880 something, or like early 1900s, like turn of the century. But Activision is the first third-party developer ever. Activision was the very first one, all the way back on the Atari 2600. Their first couple games are like boxing, skiing, like very generic title, like sports games. But yeah, Activision was founded, 4 members who were, funny enough, Atari employees. And, they were disgruntled, didn't like the treatment. So they became the first independent third party. So what is a third party? Basically, first party studios are, like, for example, Sony would be like Naughty Dog. Microsoft, it would be like 343 Industries, a studio that the publisher, console maker owns. That's first party. Second party is like, they don't own them. They might own some percentage of the company, but it's like they don't own them, but that company only works with them. A good example was like Rare back in the day with Nintendo on the N64. Nintendo did not own Rare, but they only like mainly like exclusively worked with Nintendo. And keeping in Nintendo, Game Freak, or the company that makes Pokemon, believe it or not, they don't own them, or they own like about half. But you get the idea that Game Freak still has some independence, but obviously they really only do Pokemon games on Nintendo consoles. That's second party. Third party is your EAs, Activisions, formerly Ubisoft, you get it, Capcom, those big companies that are not owned by any of the console makers. Activision was the first one. So that's immediately what hit me, is just like, no one is realizing just the sheer amount of like games or like IPs that Activision own. Like, it is crazy. It is like yeah, again, they've been around since the Atari 2600. You know, that console that had like Pac-Man, E.T., the one that almost ended it all, the crash of 83. Like, seriously, Activision's catalog cannot be understated. It's insane. Crash Bandicoot and Spyro went from being, you know, regarded as PlayStation mascots to now they're Xbox, baby. Microsoft owns them. Like, how the tables turn, like, seriously. And yeah, their catalog just cannot be understated. Like, literally anything under the sun you could think of. Guitar Hero, Activision, Call of Duty, the biggest franchise. Again, you know, my opinion, haven't really cared about the series in a while, but it cannot be understated. Call of Duty every single year manages to be the top selling game. I mean, just to put in perspective, for the last couple years, on PlayStation no less, Call of Duty has been the #1 and #2 best selling game for like the past, I believe it's like 5 years straight. And you know, when the Bethesda acquisition happened, Sony didn't say anything, right? They were like, oh, whatever, like, but 2 days after this was announced, now they're saying like, oh, Microsoft will honor the contract agreements and keep Call of Duty multi-platform. And, you know, Microsoft, just like with Bethesda, they have said, yeah, we will honor existing agreements. And that's the key word, existing, meaning they will eventually run out. And we don't know how long these contracts are for. Maybe it's 5-10 years, but eventually, mainline Call of Duties, not on PlayStation anymore. And you get what I'm saying. Sony cares because after July of next year, Microsoft owns them. So even if they say multi-plat forever, that's cutting into Sony's best-selling games, like cutting right into there. So they're taking their sales and all that. And yeah, like seriously, the potential is insane. Also, like just the, I guess, reach aspect too, because Microsoft went from almost having no space, if you will, no territory in mobile gaming. Now, look, a lot of us, you and me, we don't care about mobile gaming, but hey, gotta, just cold hard facts. Mobile gaming is like the largest percentage of gaming. It makes the most money. It makes more than consoles and PC combined. Mobile is like where it's at, like in terms of money. And because of the Activision acquisition, try saying that 5 times fast, they now own Call of Duty Mobile, Hearthstone, again, the Blizzard side of things. And like, you get what I'm saying. Oh, Candy Crush. That's why I mentioned King. They own Candy Crush. Look, let's be real. Everyone and our mothers play Candy Crush. Like, the amount of money Microsoft is about to be raking in is like ridiculous. And I wanted to tackle some of these arguments. These diehard Sony fanboys are like, just crying their salty tears in denial that, like Microsoft can't do this. It's a monopoly. Newsflash, no, it's not. If a company like Disney could be buying entire movie studios like Fox, and it's okay, Microsoft is all right. People forget, to be a monopoly, you have to own everything. I mean, hello. There's Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Not a monopoly. That's just consoles. Now let's broaden it. PC, whole nother, like space. Well, you have Steam, the Epic Games Store, GOG. I think you're starting to see where I'm getting at. Mobile, Apple, the Google Play Store, Windows, Sorry, guys, all you people crying about monopoly, it's not there. I mean, Activision was the largest third-party publisher, but they weren't the only ones. You still got Square Enix, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, EA. Sorry, guys, it's not a monopoly. I mean, at the end of the day, money talks, and no one's got a bigger bank than Bill Gates. And yeah, it's just like, that's so sorry if all of you are hoping, the FTC or like government regulators are going to shoot this down. I would genuinely be surprised if they do. But for what I've said, like, it's not happening. And another thing that I think is very hypocritical of a lot of these fanboys is like, oh, Microsoft can't do this, they're buying everybody. Well, even and legally in court, I'm pretty sure this would kind of negate that. So Sony they keep their games exclusive on console. And they just recently, in the past few years, start to support PC, but it'll be like, what? God of War came out like 5 years after its release. And Nintendo is, the hermit kingdom in the terms of strictly console. Whereas Microsoft now with Game Pass and that sort of thing. xCloud, yeah, console, so the Xbox Series, Xbox One, PC, right? I mean, most of you if you have a PC, you're running Windows, that's Microsoft. And mobile, with xCloud where you could stream. So compare that to Sony, who's only mainly console and barely PC. So we'll say 1.5. And Nintendo, who's strictly console. Yeah, Microsoft is trying to take away games from gamers. I mean, sorry that you're, you're sucking Sony dry with, your little blue box, but hey, I mean, Microsoft offers it on more platforms at the same time. So that argument that, the one I absolutely hate, like, it's been driving me mad, is like, like Call of Duty, for example, which is arguably why the price tag was this high. I mean, again, whether we like it or not, it's it's probably the biggest franchise in gaming right now. Especially because it helps that it's a yearly release. I mean, that might change. But yeah, it's like, seriously, it's crazy. Like, oh man, So the argument that's been really like just irking me is the one that like, Microsoft can't make Call of Duty exclusive. They need to make their money back. They have to include PlayStation. There's money to lose there. Look, who spends $70 billion dollars to help the competition? Like, that's fucking stupid. Seriously, I really, the hoops you guys jump through, just so in denial is ridiculous. I've been saying, and look, we'll see, right? We'll see when it happens. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I'll be the first to come on here and admit that I am. But look at Bethesda. Before the acquisition legally went through, obviously they were keeping things vague. We're going to respect existing agreements, contractual, legal obligations. But going forward, I mean, just like the clip Phil Spencer said, this acquisition was about having great exclusives for, anywhere where Game Pass is available. And look, a game like Call of Duty, so you release it on PlayStation and Game Pass. Obviously, Game Pass is a better deal because you get it like a fraction of the price. But these diehard fanboys are just going to get it on PlayStation and then Microsoft will still get a cut, but again, they're trying to be the Netflix of gaming, right? They already have the head start, just like Netflix back in the day. Like, you remember when they started out with, like, you had to have a disc to play, and then obviously now they're full streaming. And now all these other streaming services are trying to play catch up, right? Disney Plus, Hulu, Peacock, they're all like around 30 mil, maybe 50 mil, whereas Netflix is 200 million and growing. Like, yeah, that's it. That's the thing I always hate, is just like, oh, they have to put it on. I think, and Randall Thor, 19, shout out to him, in his most recent video, they even break it down. Someone even did the math of like the last Call of Duty, so I believe Vanguard, might have been Cold War. In the video, like on Sony, just PlayStation, it sold like 15.5 million, and you do that at like $60 or like 70, or you get it like you do it at like the regular price, how much that would make. But of course, PlayStation, any console doesn't keep all that. Activision or whoever made it gets their cut. And they do the math where if only of those 15 million people on PlayStation who got Call of Duty, if only like 3 million of those switched over to Game Pass, the money is literally evened out, meaning that, yeah, Microsoft does not need them. If they made it fully exclusive and all these 15 million jump ship or get a Series S, obviously the cheaper alternative, and they're like, I'm going to be in the Xbox ecosystem now. If all of them switched over, subscribed to Game Pass, kept it for a year or a couple months even, that money they're making right there outclasses any money they would ever make on PlayStation. Like, it's not even like funny. Like, it's not even fair. So all the fanboys crying that they need them, they do not. And that's the thing that like irks me in every comment section, or like how Microsoft, they said recently, yeah, we're going to honor these contracts with PlayStation for COD. It's like, look, they don't need them. We're talking about a $2 trillion company. They could buy Sony in their sleep if they wanted to. Do you really think they need them? They're not worried about them. And that's the thing. Look, I'm sorry, but fanboy aside, yes, I game on Xbox, but look, just the facts. The fact of the matter is, you want to know who else was bidding on Activision? Tencent, China, obviously, communism, can't let them win. Google, again, company that got big dick money that could, like, literally rip a new one into Nintendo and Sony if they wanted to. I mean, you have companies like Amazon, another one, Facebook, even Netflix. Netflix is worth a lot more than Sony. Like, I hate to break it to you guys, but these companies, like, let's just say the big boys are coming to play. Obviously, Google tried out Stadia. Amazon has Luna. The only issue with them is they're looking too far ahead in the future. But yeah, guys, it's like, I'm sorry, but Sony and Nintendo are little leagues, little tykes compared to them. Like, again, Google, Amazon, everyone is catching on to like this industry that is gaming and the money that is to be made here, and gotta keep it 100. Just sorry, like, they aren't competition. Again, when we're talking about Sony and Microsoft, not PlayStation, Xbox, the parents, again, Microsoft could buy Sony. Like, they're not competition. Like, they literally sent out a statement with this, like, we're committed to gaming, like, to the Xbox brand, whatever, Game Pass. Like, we're behind this, like, full force, right? Like, choo choo, all aboard the Billy G train. Like that's just it, guys. Like, all these people are so pressed that it's about Sony. It's not. It's not. Like, Microsoft is making sure that Tencent or Google, like, none of these companies, when, like, if they catch on, like, they come out with their own streaming thing, or Google fixes theirs, right? Like, again, these are companies that have the kind of money to rival Microsoft, to be able to start buying up everything. So Microsoft is doing the smart thing, and, like, I'm going to be the first one. Again, they're the trailblazer with Game Pass, which recently has passed 25 million subscribers. Like, they're on course to be the Netflix, the first success of streaming for gaming, right? So they're going to do everything in their power to keep that momentum going. And yeah, that's really it. It's just, this announcement's crazy, and like literally it's insane. Like, this is game changing. Like, seriously. And look, what am I looking forward to? I mean, hey, even Phil mentioned it, which I thought was awesome. So, if you know, I'm a big id Software fan. You know, Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein. They were owned by Bethesda. Microsoft owns them now. And they bought Activision. And you know what was a company that is owned by Activision, which is now owned by Microsoft? Raven Software. You know, they recently worked on Cold War, Call of Duty Cold War, like they were behind the campaign. But for my older gamers out there, retro FPS fans, they were essentially what Machine Games is now to id Software. They were the sister studio. Like, id would come out with a new engine, and Raven would, you know, license out whatever version of id Tech 1, 2, you get it, and they would come out with new games. So, like, back in the day, with the Doom engine, the original Doom, Doom 2, they made a little series called Heretic, and then went on the sequel, Hexen, and I love Hexen on the N64. That's really, I know, it's a weird place, right, where all of these were, like, PC first, but yeah, like, Quake 2, Hexen, Doom 64, that's where I really fell in love with, like, id Software, or, like, Raven, you get, like, their games, and Phil recently was talking about the potential, like, growth that they could have with Activision, or, like, bringing back old IPs like King's Quest, Guitar Hero. Yeah, that's Activision again. Just how, imagine if they brought it back. That would be one I'd see coming to all consoles, because games like that, or like, you know, when the Wii was popular, Connect, those sell like crazy. So, I mean, hey, they'll get a cut from any Sony purchase. But yeah, it's like, Phil expressed like interest, like even Hexen, and think, that's what I'm hoping for. Look, if anything, Phil, please allow Raven Software to make games again. Like, I get it, Call of Duty's like what you all were probably most after, but please, free Raven from those chains. And, you know, hey, I'll subscribe to Game Pass if you put all the, like, Heretic, Hexen, Hexen 2, Heretic 2. That was the other thing. Heretic 2 was the one that, like, couldn't be released on other platforms because of Activision, like, rights. But now Microsoft owns all of them. Because with the Heretic Hexen series, id Software, yeah, id, they own, like, I believe it was, like, publishing rights to that series, whereas Raven owned developing rights. But again, Raven was owned by Activision, and Activision only cared about using them for Call of Duty. But now, Microsoft owns all parties involved. Just like with Bethesda, where, you know, Fallout New Vegas, made by Obsidian, but Bethesda owned the rights. Well, Microsoft owns Bethesda and Obsidian, so we could get a New Vegas 2, I don't know, Fallout Miami, Fallout New Orleans, you get it, like, all these, like, dream scenarios are possible, and seriously, Phil, I'll subscribe to Game Pass if, I don't know, out of 3-4 years from now, at an E3 or whatever event, you know, we get a cool medieval trailer, first-person shooter, and we hear Korax, you know, greetings, mortal, are you ready to die? Like, seriously, I'll subscribe to Game Pass, because as you know, I'm a physical collector, so ownership is important to me, and, you know, I'm not sold. Give me a Heretic Hexen collection, like, right now. Like, you know, once that deal goes through, you better put it on disc and release that baby. You know, basically, like, well, what GTA Definitive Edition should have been, but of course that game came out pretty bad. Give me a, you know, HD 4K release, the 4 classics, and then put Raven and id back together, baby. Damn. Money. But yeah, guys, Activision, biggest acquisition ever, insane. And just wanted to touch on the thing that was crazy, that I got recent news that wasn't even like an acquisition that was coming. So, yeah. put up some little pictures here, but a commenter by the name of Jack D. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. He mentions, because in an older video I talk about how Microsoft would purchase Take-Two Interactive and, GTA, 2K, all that sort of thing. Borderlands. Oh no, that's Embracer Group. But I digress. GTA, again, the biggest franchise. GTA 5 is the most profitable piece, it's the most profitable piece of entertainment of all time. It made the most money, more than any Marvel movie, any movie period, any music. GTA 5 is it's the product that reached $1 billion in sales the fastest. I think it did in like 3 days, like 72 hours. Movies take like what, a month to do that? It did in 3 days. So I'll leave you with that. Again, full credit to the boy, Jack D. You can check out that video. He's in the comments, responded. And yeah, get the full details. But yeah, that's the crazy thing, guys. With this huge acquisition, the insane thing is, Take-Two might be next. Microsoft is not done. They really came back swinging. All those jokes about, Xbox has no games. Phil Spencer was like, and I took it personally, and now they're on a mission to literally, hey, it's exciting to be a gamer, and we'll see what they do. Hopefully they can clean up Activision and Blizzard's act. It has been confirmed that Bobby Kotick, the CEO, will be stepping down once, legally Microsoft does own them next year, which is good because, yeah, you could look into the issue, but there was a lot of pretty disgusting things going on, despicable things, just a really toxic work environment. And a lot of Activision and Blizzard employees are actually optimistic about, under the new leadership of Phil Spencer over at Xbox. It's exciting. But yeah, all you Sony fanboys, stop crying. Get a Series S. It's only $300. Or, all of you like to brag that you can spend the $70 on these new next-gen releases. Well, save up or get a Series X. Seriously, going forward, if this Take-Two acquisition happens and hey, maybe Warner Bros. Next, literally later this generation, or especially the next one, Xbox 5 and PS6 respectively, Xbox is gonna be where it's at. But yeah, guys, I know it's a longer video. Just want to get my thoughts on this industry changing news. Who would have thought, really? Who would have thought that the computer company would really turn things around? But that's it, guys. Let me know, how does this news impact you? Are you a PC or Xbox gamer like myself? Are you neutral? You own both, but and hey, I can understand, at the end of the day, if Microsoft does go mainly exclusive, or the smart thing to do would keep the bigger titles exclusive. If they do that, hey, it is a genuine concern. If you were a PlayStation user your whole life and now all these games are all of a sudden exclusive. Look at Spyro and Crash. They're Xbox mascots. Crazy world we live in. But let me know. And, as always, I make new videos every Tuesdays and Saturdays. If you like this type of content, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good jazz. And as always, everyone, I've been your host, Oxy. Take care.